The University Tower chimes, bringing another session of Ask the Professor, the show on which you match wits with University of Detroit Mercy professors in an unrehearsed session of questions and answers. I'm your host, Matt Mayo. Let me introduce to you our panel for today. To my left, from the Department of Philosophy, it's Professor Beth Oljar.
Hello, Matt.
What's going on?
What's going on? Not a whole. What a great song. It just made. Yeah, I know. Not a whole lot.
Okay, we'll take it.
Teaching classes and another week's gone by.
Another week's gone by, yeah. I mean, we're past the 1/4 part of the semester and feeling fine. Plus, the headline in the online free press a minute ago was quite literally, I was going to screenshot it. What is that thing in the sky? Click here.
Yeah.
The sun is out. It's kind of a big deal for
It's a
us.
Zeppelin?
Yeah.
We have a Zeppelin overhead?
Yeah, exactly. A Zeppelin, a dirigible, if you will.
I'm from Oregon, where we don't tan, we rust.
Oh, yes, very much so.
57 degrees next Thursday.
Yes, that's right. 10 straight days with no precipitation. I'll take it. Yep. Seems like it's going to be a fun February.
Tuesday was a drag. Oh,
Big
my
time.
God.
Because
Like,
nobody predicted it. Nobody predicted
Well, when I was
it. Yeah.
going to a doctor, I had 2 doctor's appointments back to back in Novi, and so I'm at 8 Mile, and I turned right onto Haggerty. Couldn't get up Haggerty. I went part way up the hill, and there were these 2 huge trucks, and they're not moving. I'm like, this is just not going to happen. So I came back. Well, I went grocery shopping instead. But
Got it. That was
Wait a
good
minute.
use of your
So,
time.
is Heather going to be pushing your plants back into the ground?
Well,
There's just-
they're
Are
gonna
Are you
get
going to be pushing
tempted.
your, it's so warm? Are they
Actually,
coming
some of the tulips are coming out.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Good.
Some of the 600 bulbs you
Yeah.
planted.
Oh, my
are
gosh.
coming up now?
So,
It's too soon.
Professor Dave Chow is here from Medicine Hat.
Pleasure to be
The
here,
Tigers.
as always.
Yes. Is there anything popping up in the Chow spare yard?
Not that I know of. I haven't looked.
Okay.
I try to avoid that as much as possible.
What is that?
It's just a wet and mucky grind right about
Yeah,
now.
I
It's
suppose.
kind of the rabbit haven. So
Well, we've been hiding dead bodies there. We just didn't tell
it's
you.
wonderful
until now.
compost, by the way. You want to come over for salad?
Oh, my word. This took a dark turn. We're going to continue around the table.
That was my fault.
Closest to the donut box is Professor Erin Bell from Seattle.
Cetal. Yeah, Cetal.
What, is that like Seattle
Not
White?
kettle,
Not-
not kettle
not
or settle.
Center for Excellence in Teaching.
Cetal.
Yes.
Excellent.
Cetal.
How was everything?
Totally
How was everything
tubular.
over on the 3rd floor?
Excellent. It's just funny. I did a trivia night last week by our friend,
That's right.
hosted by our friend who is a research librarian. And there was, in fact, a question related to excellent. It was a fictional bands category, and it was the name. What is the name of the band in Bill and Ted's? And I actually got this one right, spelling and all.
Nice.
Do you know what it is?
Spelling?
Do you know their
The
band?
Wild
No.
Stallions.
Yes, you do.
Yes.
With the Y's and the Z's. Yeah, that was fun. That was a good time.
That is awesome.
What band
Uh
does Socrates
oh, so great.
Oh, dear Lord.
quote
So great. Oh, God.
in Bill and Ted?
Oh, man. I think I have a good guess, but I bet I'm
Is
wrong.
there like a dust in the wind kind of?
It is Dust in the
Yeah.
Wind, and therefore the band is?
Kansas.
I was going to
Yes.
say yes. See, I was a little bit off. Yeah, so.
I
Sorry
said
about that.
I pronounced it.
Progressive rock, man. Get these things. Watch School of Rock. You'll learn all about.
Calling him Socrates for a long time after that because that was my A. Socrates.
Oh, my
Between
God.
Socrates and Penelope, I've been ruined.
Yep. All the way across the table, today, the part of Professor James Balfour Tubbs will be played by Professor Jason Roche, only because he's always through the microphones for me, Jason, so I see you.
I can see you too, and I can.
Partially.
Yeah,
Do your
the
best
microphones
North
block us
Carolina
a little.
accent. That's what we're
Hell, let's get some
Syracuse is in the chums.
spice jelly in here. I can't remember what it's
Oh,
called.
my gosh.
What's the spice jelly that he's always bringing?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
the-
that,
Pepper relish.
No, it was,
Pepper.
was it Jezebel sauce? No, not
I don't remember.
the pimento
Yeah,
cheese.
Pimento cheese is another
Okay.
big one.
Yeah,
Yes.
that is a big
Yeah,
one.
but he's right about
And,
now. He's trading in for Vegemite. So
Put that
Every
on
time I
celery
drive
sticks at
past the whistle
Thanksgiving, my
stop.
mom
Yeah.
did.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I saw
Bright
that
orange.
he's in Sydney tonight. He landed.
Yep, that's right.
And every time I drive past the Whistle Stop Diner in Ferndale, I always think of Whistle Pigs.
Oh, of course,
There we
which
go.
is straight up for Jim. That's exactly right. A man who you can hear, no matter what the distance, is Professor Stephen Manning.
He's stunned silent.
What is he supposed to say to that?
I know.
You made the joke, so I'm just continuing it, you know?
Good afternoon, man.
Yeah, good afternoon. And good afternoon to you. You're sporting your Michigan 2023 National Champs shirt.
Whenever I know there are going to be Huskies in the vicinity, I like to wear it. Thank
That's
you very much.
that's kind of
Sorry.
nice. That's
No, you're not.
nice.
Kind of mean.
It's
You're not
mean.
sorry.
There are 2 Huskies in the
Oh,
vicinity.
he knows. He's well aware.
Well, on the ride home, we'll be. I have a tape in the car for the Michigan fight song.
Oh my God.
You can listen to that.
Man,
and
it's
I'll
just
brought it just for you.
A tape in
A
the
tape.
car.
A tape.
A tape, yes.
All right,
Hey.
I think we should introduce Professor Heather Hill to get this. You know, we gotta
Level the playing
tell
field.
us something about crocuses or something
I
like.
know. Crocuses are purple and gold.
Oh.
They can be gold.
Yes, well, yellowish
I
gold.
had no idea. That's
Like
got me.
like UW's colors.
oh, I see where
Yes.
it's going.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Purple and gold.
Very, very nice. Well, folks, this is a program where you can send us questions regarding anything. Stump the panel, win a prize. Don't stump the panel, win a prize. Your choice. Send us the questions in a number of ways, though. You can email us at atp@udmercy.edu. Find us on Facebook and Instagram, or listen on your favorite smart speaker by asking it to play Ask the Professor at University of Detroit Mercy. So we have a set of questions here sent by the mysterious SM. Okay, it's Stephen. Professors, here's a 15-question set dealing with versions of the most or least. So like best, worst, highest, lowest, longest, shortest. You get the idea of something. So let's have fun.
And I don't
talking
answer
about
these, so
that.
this is your way of getting me to shut up.
No,
I get it. I
You
get
already
it.
know
the College Football National Championship in 2024. No, kidding. What is the safest country in the world? Followed for the record by Switzerland, Norway, Ireland, and the Netherlands.
Denmark.
Sweden.
Safest, what? Like violent crime?
We
or-
don't really have any other information.
Is it Sweden?
It's not.
And it's not Denmark?
I'm thinking it's got to be a
Greenland.
like
Small,
Guam
remote.
or something, some
Ice
microscopic
cream.
little thing.
The
So,
Vatican.
Iceland is not on the list. Ireland was. I got a little confused there. No, Vatican. Yeah. Just, well,
Vatican,
you know,
Vatican City. Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
San Marino.
There's no easy way to say this.
Give
If
me
I said,
give me a hint that it's closer to home.
yeah, it's a little bit
Canada?
closer. It's Canada,
Yeah.
is what it says here.
I'm a
Yeah.
violent one. What are you talking
Take
about?
off, eh?
Just a few miles away,
Everybody's
actually.
nice to
so.
each other.
Yeah.
Because they put their milk in a bag. I don't know.
Now,
Hey.
using whatever that metric is, if I ask you what the safest city is, it's
Oh.
actually an American city, as in a U.S. city. What is that?
In the world?
Yes.
What?
Mhm. This city
Come
followed
on.
by
Livonia?
Montreal, Reykjavik, Sydney, and Amsterdam. I thought you were going to say Clausen.
I was going to go there.
I
I'll
would
say,
say Clausen.
in honor of Beth, I will say Portland.
It's not. However, you're in a pretty good westerly direction.
Boise.
Nope.
Seattle.
A little more westerly.
A little more
Oh,
westerly.
in Hawaii.
It's Honolulu. Yeah, it's Honolulu
Really?
is the safest city in the
Like-
world. So
How much farther westerly can
keep going.
we go?
Guam. Let's keep going to Guam. you know what I mean?
We'll keep on coming back to Maine. That's all.
According to the NIAAA, the National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism, which state's population consumes the most alcohol per capita?
Michigan.
Alabama.
4.43 gallons per capita
Oh
per
my gosh.
year.
Thinking it
Wisconsin.
may be someplace with a large Indian reservation.
I'm thinking brewery.
not
like
necessarily.
Wisconsin.
Georgia, Alabama,
New Jersey.
Try to
South
phrase it.
Carolina.
This state, followed by Delaware, D.C., Nevada, Montana. Michigan is 25th.
Oh,
Virginia.
really?
For
California.
Teetotalers.
New York.
Just
Texas.
haven't heard it
No,
yet.
Texas.
It's
Probably
way,
not
way
Utah.
out east. Way out
Way
east.
out.
Joyzy?
East Virginia.
New Hampshire.
It's New Hampshire is what it says here.
Random
Is the,
drunks.
I was about to say the drunkest state in the union, but that's
I
not
was
the
Maybe
there.
case.
that's why they have the best state motto.
Okay.
They do.
Live free
live
or
free or
die.
die.
I know.
Come on.
I was born in New Hampshire.
100%. 100%. Follow-up question. Which state is the least, followed by West Virginia, wow, Oklahoma, Georgia, and Arkansas.
Utah.
A Mormon state.
Utah, 1.3 gallons per, still non-zero. I'd just like to point
And it's
that out.
rubbing alcohol.
There are non-Mormons that live there.
Yeah, that
I
is
know,
true.
yeah, really.
That is true. Based on new car purchases in the U.S. 2023, what was the most popular color of car, followed by black, gray, silver, blue, red, and green.
White.
Absolutely. That is a
Vanilla.
nightmare to keep clean, is all I'm saying. Like,
I heard once that it was that white cars tend to have the best resale value.
Interesting.
Silver.
Well, that would
Let's-
explain, if
Silver's
that's
underrated.
deconstruct that,
I know.
why it's a popular
Right.
color.
A lot of
I
people
don't
think
know.
they're safer too. You can see them.
Okay.
yeah, that's
okay.
true.
Is that
Well,
what?
if
If we
I
move
take the
to an
muffler off
electric
my car,
vehicle
too.
economy, that could become a big deal because electric vehicles don't make much noise.
Well,
so
red
that's,
cars
Yeah,
can
that's a good
cost
point.
more to insure.
that
because
is true.
Of the notion that people drive them faster. or
Nope,
something.
that is true.
Drive
Get
a red
more
car.
accidents or something.
And get more tickets.
There you go.
What was the best-selling? Be careful of the details here. The best-selling debut album of all time, 22 million copies. We could try to narrow it down by genre. I'll wait till I hear a few things, Mimi.
Was it?
Meet the Beatles.
Taylor Dane?
It was not.
Michael Jackson.
I would call it in the Generation X era,
Oh,
but it wasn't
oh,
Michael Jackson.
Nirvana?
Gen X.
It wasn't Nirvana. I would go a
Pearl
little
Jam?
bit backwards. Pearl Jam is getting closer.
Alanis Morissette?
Oh, nice.
Green Day.
It's actually a group. It's not
Oh,
Green Day.
I was gonna
Green
say
Day's a
Green
good
Day.
guess. I could give away the whole thing by
Skid
telling-
Row.
getting very
Guns
close.
N' Roses.
Guns N' Roses.
Oh, nice.
Appetite for Destruction. Stephen observes the title was apt as they proceeded to self-destruct
Self-destruct,
with the
yes.
follow-up. Use your illusion. Oh, that was not good.
I can't decide whether I think Axl Rose has a good voice for rock and roll. Or
We just saw
not.
something about Flea.
Oh,
Oh,
The
yeah,
bassist
we
is
did.
Guns N'
Yeah.
Roses. He's doing
sure.
something.
He's doing something.
He's doing
But
some
he was
podcasts.
in
Help
Red Hot
kids.
Chili Peppers.
He is.
Is he giving socks
Is
to
he?
the homeless?
Maybe.
Oh, I got that.
nice. Nice.
Oh, dear Lord. I saw that show.
Now we can go back to Professor Bell. By way of
Oh.
comparison, remember 22 million for Appetite for Destruction. What is the best-selling album of all time and how many?
Oh, it's got to be the Eagles' greatest hits.
The MJ.
It used to be, but it
Thriller.
keeps getting overtaken by Thriller,
Yes.
which for the record is at 70 million, and it keeps going up every year. So, although again, one of my favorite folk artists, I know I'm really putting myself in a weird place here, Lorena McKennitt, first time she's ever published, she will not be publishing any physical media with the album that just came out today. 100% you got to go get it
Wow.
digitally. And I think that's just a big step.
Yeah.
Like, there's no, how do you track an album sales in that
Yeah.
way? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, anyway, weird.
Number of downloads. I
Number of
guess.
downloads.
Yeah,
They're also counting YouTube videos, too.
Yep.
Legit or not
I would
legit,
say
too.
so.
I've never downloaded any music off the internet. I mean, I'll listen to something on YouTube if I don't have the CD or anything, but I still buy CDs. I guess I'm old.
Buy the, no,
That's okay.
Or
Physical media is the real deal.
Yeah.
Come on.
there's something to be said for hoarding.
Besides, if it's-
LPs are making a huge comeback anyway.
well, if
they
it's
are.
the
You know?
Stones, they sound better
Yes.
on scratchy vinyl.
Totally. I went to Amazon to see what the download price was for Lorena McKennitt, and the first hit was the LP. It was actually the vinyl. So I was like,
Yeah,
all right,
yeah,
sure.
yeah, that
you
does
know,
happen.
Or if you want to be squirrely about it, you could always go to the library and borrow the
it's not
CD.
too squirrely. It's not too squirrely. According to PEN America, I'm sure that stands for something, which two books were tied as the most banned books of 21-22?
The Catcher in the Rye.
Nope. These
So
are
I-
both relatively recent
The
publications.
bluest
so-
eye.
so-
Not the bluest
So it's not
eye.
the Bible.
Love
One
it.
of them about drag queens.
RuPaul's Guide to Cooking.
No,
The Hate You Give. I had a list of these.
no. 21-22 would be like right in the middle of pandemic and political upheaval and lots of things going on, right? So,
What, Michelle
Tricky.
Obama's book? Oh,
no,
The Art of the Deal.
We only hope.
Should
no,
be.
no. It was Pride, which celebrated gay activist Harvey Milk.
Okay.
And if you've read it, I Am Jazz, which was the story of
Oh,
Jazz
yeah.
Jennings and her biography. So it's kind of not good. Let's just put it that way in terms of being banned. Who were the first band who played on every single continent of the earth?
Metallica.
Yeah, it was Metallica.
Very
Nice
good.
2013. They did a concert
In
in
Antarctica.
front of 120 people in Antarctica. Oh.
That sounds like Spinal Tap at the end of the movie.
That's some cold fingers.
Yeah, actually, they released it as a live album later on and called it Freeze 'Em All. I think that's pretty good.
With the
That's
little tiny model of Stonehenge, right?
exactly. Made out of ice.
That's
According to a survey with a sample size of 800,000, what is America's most popular name for a dog?
Spot.
No. I will
Max.
give you everything else.
Max.
Yeah.
Luna, Max, Daisy, Charlie. The first one starts with the letter B.
Buddy.
Buddy is a great guess, but that is not. It is more on the feminine side.
Bell.
Bella, yeah,
Bella,
Bella is the number one
really?
dog name. You have to look at the stats, though. That's only 5% to be number one. That's how
Oh,
many
okay.
different names there are out there,
All
right?
right,
It's a lot,
okay.
quite a bit. According to the National Insurance Crime Bureau, what was the most stolen vehicle in America in 2022?
Mustang.
No, it's a
Honda
Hyundai
Civic.
or a Kia from
Corvette.
the Tic Tac Challenge.
Yeah, they're up on the list.
Jeep Cherokee.
But that's not what it is. So this car, followed by the Ford F-150, 3 Hondas, 2 Hyundais, and a Kia, Toyota, and a
And a
GMC.
partridge
Exactly.
in a
I'm thinking-
Yeah, I know.
So it's not Jeep?
Nope, not a Jeep. It's
Is it
actually an
about-
American car.
Is it about a specific part that they're aiming for, like
Oh,
a
yeah, probably a
Catalytic
car that doesn't
converter.
Is it
have
a
any-
Ford
Buick?
Escape.
Ford Taurus?
No, it's not a Ford. Definitely
Silverado?
an apple pie American brand. It was Silverado. It was a Chevy. Yeah, that's exactly
Why?
right.
So
They didn't want the
because
trucks.
they don't change that often, so you can swap parts from year to year.
Yeah, the parts are, they give.
Yeah, I remember like on the south side of the building I used to teach at, they said if you had a 4x4, don't park there. Because, guys can just slide underneath and take whatever they need to.
Wow.
I have kind of an irrational bias against people who own pickup trucks. Like, for absolutely no reason at all, which is why it's irrational.
At least
but-
you
No,
recognize
no,
it.
no.
No,
Actually,
it's not.
I'm not sure it's
irrational.
irrational at all.
We'll talk later.
I'm
I
not-
think I'm going to buy a truck just to become one of those people, and then
Let's see what
And
it's
not
like.
to,
the
and
system,
people who
yes.
buy these monster
Yes.
SUVs that they can't
Oh, I
drive
know.
and they
Right.
can't
Oh, I
park.
know.
Speaking of last, whatever it was, Tuesday, that's a totally different story. Like
If you're-
everybody discovers driving in the snow.
If you ride a motorcycle, these big trucks are not irrational.
Even though people have
They're
lived
quite irrational.
lived here all their lives, they don't seem to understand what you need to do when you're driving in the freaking snow.
Like pumping the brakes carefully and
Like-
instead
Or
of just
distance.
slamming them on.
It's called Don't Tailgate.
Or,
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
or turning into
the skid. Yeah, but if you,
skid.
although if you start to skid,
But
I
you
can
should-
imagine being kind of freaked out and
Well, but
not recognizing.
maybe you shouldn't be in the skid to begin with because you're going too freaking fast.
Well, there's that. Good point.
Anyway.
And you can't, Michiganders can't drive in rain. I'm sorry.
No, we cannot.
But I do have to say, Detroit drivers are the worst I've ever seen, without question.
I will not let this topic go by without
No.
saying it. One more
You have
person.
not lived in Western Pennsylvania.
Or
Pennsyltucky, as my friend Audrey calls it.
Dear Lord.
Oh my goodness.
Tennessee is bad.
I can't handle people coming at me with their brights on. It is almost
Oh my
90% at this point. I'm like,
I
I,
take
thought
it
that,
right.
that
Sure,
was
that's
extremely
safe.
gauche back in the day.
it was.
I
It's
think there's
all
a-
the time now.
Isn't there a question on this topic? on that
Possibly,
list?
I haven't read
Oh,
it.
okay.
But it's the solipsism that I can't
Drivers?
take.
Foreshadowing.
I'm literally
I know
the
in
only
Pennsylvania
person
if it
on the
comes
road, so
Right.
I will pass
Or
you
New Jersey.
illegally on the right,
Boston?
in the
I can't
right-hand
Boston.
turn
I
lane.
think somebody,
Hey,
yeah.
The hell with
Hey.
It was
danger.
tough.
I
It
have
was tough.
made
Like-
They knew they saw my Michigan plate.
Multiple other times
They were
quoting a
not
tweet
impressed.
from a few years ago. It was like, how dare you disagree with me, the main character of the universe? That's what I think about when I'm driving. Folks, what was the highest scoring game in the 78-year history of the NBA? I can tell you it was December 13th, 1983. Try to guess either team's total point score or which two teams
Oh,
were
I
playing.
bet the Denver
118.
Nuggets were in there.
173.
It was Denver. You remember
Yeah, it was
correctly. It was
Denver.
Denver.
The
yeah.
Nuggets.
And I'm
it
going to
Pistons?
guess. Like,
It was the Pistons. Yeah. December 13th, 1983.
Yeah, I'm going to go up in the 160s.
Mhm. The
Wow.
final score was 186 to 184.
Wow.
Piston victory in triple overtime. The teams were tied at 145
Oh my
at the end of
gosh.
regulation. That's
Regulation?
So
At the
three
end of
over
regulation.
three
The
overtimes.
defensive player of the year obviously wasn't on the
And
court.
obviously tied after the first and the second overtime.
well, Denver always used to do that fast-paced
True,
full-court
yeah.
game
Yeah, run
to
it
get
off
the
the
other
court, yeah.
people tired.
Mhm.
Detroit was conditioned.
Follow-ups. Remember, it's December 1983. Who was Detroit's coach?
In 83.
His first season
Chuck.
was Chuck Daly.
Why do I know that?
Yes, Chuck
Yeah.
Daly. FYI,
Aaron.
We're recording-
Aaron.
we're recording this on Groundhog Day. Chuck Daly grew up in Punxsutawney. Pennsylvania.
Ah,
And
so
also-
what happened? with Puxatawny Phil.
Oh, he did not see his shadow, so winter is over.
Oh,
Do you know how,
Nice.
do you know how accurate Phil is?
No.
Over the
Oh, I
years?
don't know off the top of my head.
He's
actually.
probably the least accurate groundhog, but also the most accurate groundhog, because he's the only groundhog.
Less than, he's right, less than 50%.
Sounds like a
Oh, so
weatherman.
it's actually wrong mostly.
Yeah.
That's
Sounds like a
fantastic.
weatherman.
That's another way of putting
But
it.
no offense, but come on, you have some strange man grabbing you out of your den, hoisting you up to the sky for no apparent reason.
In front of these crazy people
Exactly.
who are there for
We're
them.
counting
who've
on
been
you for-
drinking all.
Yeah, all the time, yeah.
There's that too.
Cool.
Pennsylvania, yeah.
Who led Detroit in scoring in that game? Don't think too hard. 47 points.
Isaiah Thomas.
Isaiah Thomas. That's a pretty good guess, yeah.
Hey, by the way, there's a display exhibit down at the Historical Museum for you.
That's right. What's the theme of the whole thing?
It's the Bad Boys and the championship years.
I love it. I love it.
Most of those were probably three-pointers, though.
Actually, that's not what it says. Only 6 of his 47 points were 3-pointers.
You wrote the question.
I know, I love that. I love that. It's like fact.
Dane Bramage.
Professors, what is the longest non-stop commercial flight that you can make? From what two cities?
South, what, Pretoria or to Singapore? Is that the one?
It actually is to Singapore, but I didn't
Yeah,
understand what you were saying at the beginning.
Pretoria.
Pretoria.
South
Or
Africa.
Cape Town?
That's not what it says.
London.
Mm-mm.
Because Jim's talked about it.
Frankfurt.
Reykjavik.
Are you ready?
Kind of a
New
long
York.
The
trip.
longest non-stop commercial flight. Erin got it. It's from New York.
Oh.
18 hours, 50
Hot today.
minutes. 9,530 miles.
Chump change.
Doesn't it take 19 or 20 hours to get to Australia from?
Yeah, but that's with layovers, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it says that Qantas, the Australian airline, is planning 2 even longer direct flights in 2025 from Sydney to London and Sydney to New York.
Nice.
Routes that will take over 20 hours on an airplane. I can't even say
I
the
don't-
words without getting a rash. It's just.
I know.
It's actually,
Oh, my
believe it or not, I
word.
mean, long flights don't bother me.
But you sleep most of the time?
Yeah.
Oh.
Or the last time I flew to China was like 3 movies and, just listening to a ton of music.
And,
Sure.
about 7 meals. They're constantly waking
Exactly.
you up for food.
Exactly,
And then
yes.
the movies. Yeah.
Yep, that's true.
And you just get to know the flight attendants to that little
Flights
thing.
I took to Beijing were 14 hours,
Yeah.
but they felt like you get off the plane, either there or here, they felt like, I've been in a long, maybe 6 hours,
Yeah.
7 hours.
And no jet lag.
Didn't feel like 14.
And no jet lag.
Couldn't do it.
I couldn't even
No.
talk about doing
The
it.
only thing is you just got to get up and move around.
It really
It's
is.
making my varicose veins like tingle just thinking.
I can't even do a 4-hour car ride. Like I
Compression
can't
socks.
just-
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
I did a
claustrophobia
4-hour
would be
plane
too.
ride in 11 hours one time when I was
my
stuck on the tarmac in
Oh,
New York.
yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Absolutely brutal. Can't even talk about that either. These were great, Stephen. Feel free to send some more in any time. One more question. What is the Guinness World Record for the most individual holiday lights displayed on a residential property?
Oh my
This is
goodness.
pretty bonkers.
The Mayo household during Halloween?
1.5
not.
1.5 million.
You
Chevy
know,
Chase in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
1.5 million is too high. It's too high.
Oh.
Darn. 590,000.
This what 590,000. We've got it. This is
Somebody have
Timothy
Kendra on speed dial?
and Grace Gay of Unionville, New York, about an hour and a half north of New York City. How many lights did they have?
A lot.
590,000. We've got as a
700,000.
700,000. Do I hear a
$250,000.
quarter
Oh,
million?
No,
Wait.
no, we're going wrong direction.
700,001, Bob.
It's sold.
The actual retail price of the individual lights is 720,000.
Okay.
Oh,
so I got it.
420,
Closest.
So
Sorry about that.
My understanding that was like 27,000 more than they did last year.
Oh,
And
jeez.
this was an article in the paper, and it was in there because it was controversial. Some of the neighbors complained.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I could
And they
see
claimed
that.
that there was so much drain on the local grid.
I was wondering about that.
They could not run their appliances
Oh,
when they at
jeez.
night, like their dishwasher, when they had these things on.
That's,
That's
I was
incredible.
just wondering about
That's
that. Like,
incredible.
wouldn't their neighbors complain about
Matt, do you
that?
remember that house on 12 in Washington?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I knew
Yeah.
that family at one point.
Yeah.
With all the Santa, like all the
Mhm, yep,
figures.
mhm, yeah.
Mhm.
To me, it's not the power drain, it's the tourists that keep on wanting to come on by.
Yes.
Yeah, that would bother
That
me
is
more
true.
than
That
the
is
power
true.
drain.
Yes, I agree. I think that we kept things fairly good in the neighborhood this year for Halloween. Would you agree, Dave? I mean, people were
Yeah.
stopping by, taking a selfie, but mostly not hanging out. too hardcore.
And not to mention, I was also charging $2 for parking. Oh, I'm
$2.
That
How
explains
enterprising
it.
is that?
I got to turn a profit somehow.
We've got about just 5 minutes left in our broadcast, and the time has come for us to consider an imponderable from the Burroughs family. This one's pretty straight up, and I think I could kick it off for us. It says favorite comedian, and I'd have to say of late, I've been pretty much consuming everything that Nate Bargatze puts out. I find it to be one of the funniest things that I've ever seen in my entire life, and he's like 100% squeaky clean, but also rollickingly funny. I was hoping Kendra would be here so I could do that one because she and I have been exchanging the bits that he does. You have to just go see him. I don't even know how to describe him. Sort of very homey, and he has this bit about he and his friend driving through a rural area. They saw a horse dead in this farm front yard. And so they went to whatever event they were going to, and they came back. The horse was still there, and they're like, "We feel like we've got to go to the front door and let the person who owns this property know." The way he does his delivery. So that was the day that I found out the horses can sleep that way. And he has a whole bunch of very solid deliveries like that. Look him up. When he hosted Saturday Night Live recently, there were a couple of legendary sketches, and that's hard to come by in the modern era. So check it out.
What's his name again?
Nate Bargatze. Yeah.
Huh.
Anyway, favorite comedian.
Robin Williams.
Me too.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. That's a great one.
Although going back further, we just saw something on TV and somebody tossed an album, an LP. It was a Bob Newhart album.
Oh, God, he's
Bob
hysterical.
Newhart.
Yeah, I was gonna say Bob
Newhart.
Newhart.
There we go.
Bob Newhart, yeah.
I think, other than Ghostbusters, the hardest I have ever laughed at a movie was seeing Good Morning Vietnam in the theater. Just absolutely in pain when
Yep.
I left the theater.
Absolutely.
I'm going to go old school. I'm going to go Rodney Dangerfield.
Sure.
The
No.
look, you know, what?
No.
What?
No.
Come on, Caddyshack?
Now he gets no respect.
Exactly.
So we have to qualify whether we're talking, and I think you're doing kind of both, stand-up versus like movie
Both.
appearances and
Neither,
stuff.
neither one.
So, yeah. I understand. It's
Yeah,
not everybody's cup of tea.
He's old school. I mean, come on, his, you know.
He's
on
funny
Carson.
in Caddyshack. Caddyshack is he's
Yeah.
a jerk.
Yeah.
I mean, his character.
Yeah, he's
Right.
completely crass, you know, up the academy kind of thing, and then just watching him on Carson just go off. It was, you know, it was always fun.
He
so.
could be funny.
And the thing is, I guess for him is like, I don't know if we were listening to him on the album, it might not sound as fun, but he's also got that look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That bug-eyed, bulgy,
Sure.
Marty
Yep.
Feldman, sweat, you know, fix the tie, you know. that
Buddy
guy-
Hackett. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
so
yeah.
he's also visually.
I would agree with that.
That's true.
Aaron, we're reaching your point
All
on the
right,
table.
I'm going to take it a different direction. I really liked Flight of the Conchords about 20 years ago. You know, Britt and Jermaine. I like that sort of like, I guess, derivative kind of like appropriation of their like David Bowie and I don't know. They were fun. They were a good live show. Yes.
Absolutely. Oh, you saw a live show.
I saw a bunch of them, and one I was like hugely pregnant, which was interesting. So
That's cool.
my big belly. And
That's very cool.
That's funny. We should mention,
Jason, what'd you think?
mention Key and Peele.
Oh yeah!
wow.
Oh my gosh! Yes!
That's
Yes!
serious.
Yes! Yes!
We wish it could have gone on forever, but people got things they got to do, unfortunately. All I'm going to say is that I know I shouldn't say this.
Say it.
Every single Lions game that
Oh.
Keegan-Michael Key attended this year, they lost. So you're not welcome anymore. You can watch from home. You know, everything gets cursed.
Oh.
He went to the playoff game.
Pretty sure there's a false cause fallacy involved in that.
Yeah, but you
But,
know,
yeah, we're superstitious live.
30 minutes away
Causation.
from the Super Bowl, Beth.
Causation versus correlation.
So superstition wins, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Always.
Jason, how about you?
Jason.
I don't know, man. It's there's so many. I laughed just hearing Chris Rock's voice.
Oh,
makes me laugh.
totally.
It's Stephen Wright. Just
Yeah.
the
That
dry
dry-
delivery and the one-liners.
I love
Bob
it.
Newhart's hilarious.
Richard Pryor.
And
There's
then
so many.
Steve Martin back in the day.
Oh my God. I had Let's Get Small. I
Yeah.
had that album.
And then
It's a philosophy major, I'll have you know. That's what his degree was
the
in.
one that
Is
blew
it?
my mind as a young child, my friend's father actually plays Red Fox.
Oh.
You want to talk about blue? Ooh, wow.
There's actually a scene in The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel where she's bought one of Red Fox's records and is listening to it and has to take it off the
Oh,
record
Lord.
player
I
very
mean,
quickly when her mom
it was
comes
like,
in.
Oh my gosh.
Sarah Silverman.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
yeah.
Nice choice.
I'm
yes.
going to get some female names.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, now that being said,
Wanda Sykes, she's really
Yes.
funny.
Yeah.
do you remember Lisa Lampanelli back
Oh
then?
dear.
Oh, she was kind of.
Yeah, she's.
I don't know now.
If you want to
Yeah,
throw
very- yeah,
throw
very
some more
progressive.
women in there, I would actually say, I mean, I've watched a lot of stand-up by Taylor Tomlinson, and if you're watching the new After Midnight, which is the new game show where comedians compete, she's the host. It's great because every night you watch, 5 nights a week, you get 3 more good comedians. And most of them are stinkers, but every once in a while, one of them is really, really good. Absolutely hilarious.
It's
You gotta
so
check
hard
it out.
to do good comedy. I think good comedians are always really, really smart.
Yeah.
I
They
think
have
you
to be.
have to be.
Right.
They have to be.
And my friend from high school said something. I don't even know if he was a friend. It was more like an acquaintance. He goes, "Man, all good comedians can sing. Never forget that I told you that." Like Robin Williams is the first thing I think
True,
of.
true.
The genie in
Yeah.
Disney.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
In
crazy.
Aladdin, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely great. All right, I'm afraid we've reached the end of what this show can offer, so the time has come to say goodbye. Heather,
Bye-bye.
Stephen,
Goodbye.
Jason,
Adios.
Aaron,
Goodbye.
David,
Who? What? See ya.
Beth.
Bye.
And now these words from University of Detroit Mercy.
You can email Ask the Professor at atp@udmercy.edu or visit the Ask the Professor Facebook page.
Ask the Professor is produced and directed by Michael Jason and Brian Masonville, and our executive producer is Professor Jason Roche. Until next week, I'm your host, Matt Mayo.